And it's Gordo here from Gordo's Games, and I'm bringing you some Digimon TCG content tonight. And tonight, I'm saying tonight because it is the night where I am here, we are bringing you a top 4 profile. So, as some of you may be aware, I'm part of my own team here, Legion. Now, one of our members decided to play in the last regionals this past Sunday, and they ended up taking a top 4 spot, which to this day is the highest ranking finish for a Legion member. So you want to be a big shout out to James Ransden. Some people may know him as Ramo, but yes, absolutely smashed it. Proud of him. His son's made me proud. But yes, he went top 4, and I won't go into what deck it is. He'll introduce himself, but feel free to check out the profile. He'll go through some of his matchups, and if you do like the content, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you know when this content goes live for you, and you can see more of myself, Gordo's Games, and more of Legion and what we've got to bring out to you. So let's get into it. Okay, so we are joined here with Ramo. James, how are we doing?
Hi, not too bad. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. So today we have a profile, and correct if I'm wrong, you finished top 4.
Yeah, that was correct. It was the regional that went last weekend. I went X and 1. I got top 4.
Perfect, and a long day, I imagine.
It was a very long day. Early start.
They always are. I think it was 8 o'clock start normally.
Yeah, 8 o'clock, but they want you in the lobby by 7:30.
Oh yeah, I grafted the day. So to go all the way up to a top 4 finish through that, hats off to you. And obviously for ourselves here at Legion, our highest ranking finish thus far. So,
Yeah.
At this point, you're top dog right now.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll get knocked off my post at some point.
I'll try my best. So what we'll do then is we'll go through the deck profile itself. You can tell me if you got a few of the pieces, see some of the choices around them. You want to go, and then we can go through your matchups, and maybe if there's any changes you want to make in the deck, and I'll then shout out. Sound good to you?
Yeah, sure.
All right, fire it away.
Alright, so we'll start with the classic Upamon babies. It's the only 4 you really need to play. You won't be digivolving into rookies to try and get some chip damage in. They're just there for the recovery and the draw. I run 3 Salamon because spaces were tight in the deck, and half of the time you don't see all 4, so you never need to run the 4. The 4th egg's just there, so you've got a yellow source on board.
I was gonna say, I know I've seen people do that quite a bit now. They run only 3, so you don't always use your last egg by not paying attention, because a lot of people use it and they cycle through eggs, then it's left there dead.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, as I say, you do draw through a lot of your deck, but half of the time you've just got a Salamon there in raising, waiting until you've got to 3 or less security. Then you get the recovery and you move on to the next egg.
Makes sense.
I run 2 Lucimon. I've seen a few lists swap these out. I think a different list had a Bushiagamon here, just for a more aggro. I prefer the recovery, just so you've got it. You can play this. You'll be playing this for free off the Magnadramon most of the time. But yeah, playing this for 5, just for an extra recovery, it's nice. For my level 4s, I run 2 of each of the structure deck security cards. So 2 of the Cordramon. So when they're checked in security, they get to be played, and then on play you get to draw 2, and then with the Geogray it gets to pop a Digimon of 4k or less.
I guess the beauty of them there is the fact that they actually battle as well, so it's not even a case of they just play out and you don't get the effect. They take out whatever little rookie that hit them and then play out to plus you.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of the time the Geograymon would take out 2 Systemons. So it was nice. A lot of the time I would have rather seen a Geogray over the Cordramon, but you do need the draw just so you can get to your pieces a bit quicker. Because you are hard dropping stuff onto the field, you're not digivolving that much.
Yeah, makes sense.
I run 3 Magna Angemon. Again, same with the Salamon, the recovery is nice, but spaces in the deck is quite limited.
Give me a second. Let me just wait for your camera to catch up with us.
Just check it.
Oh, there we go. It's alive again. And this is just to show you all people. This is done in real time. We don't do editing here. That's all real time.
Yeah, so yeah, that's it. And deck spaces are really tight, so cutting one of these down isn't that bad because we do run a lot more other recovery. So just having 3 of these is nice. You can always try and run the Misty Mons or try and add 4 of these, but for me the 3 of them was nice enough.
Nice to see. Obviously, normally you just see everybody just max out as much as possible, but I know from your list there's some other interesting texts that really do add to the actual playstyle.
Yeah, I feel like the list I built was because I was expecting to see a lot of Gabu Bond, a lot of Agu Bond, and luckily that's what 80% of my decks that I played against. So
Exactly.
yeah, it did help a lot. I run 2 Magna Dramon. 2 I feel is enough. You don't want to run too many recovery cards because if you do get into the mirror match or against the Agu control list, you don't want to be recovering too much, you don't want to be drawing too much, you want to stay ahead in cards than they do. You want to let them get rid of their resources and you're more reactive. And
I,
then yeah.
I love how you reference the Agu control list. I mean, that's just mining your mirror matches for testing.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen a lot of. So there's the Agu control, and I think one of the decks I played was a very Greymon Rush. So it used the promo Greymon
Yeah,
with the Agu Bond of Courage. So yeah, it chip away your security with security +1. Because security +1 against security control is really good if they can avoid the first removal.
yeah, exactly. And Agabond itself is probably one of your worst matchups because of the fact of the trashing from the Bond, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So most of the time when I was playing against Agu control, I would either leave Crania on board or just use Wart Defeat. Because with the Zwart Defeat, it's they have to pop something. So if the Zwart Defeat's just on there, they pop that and they kill themselves. So they may they get the trash, but they've essentially just used a 1-for-1 there. So they've got no value, and then I can just recover next turn.
Nice, nice.
I've got the free Crania, and this has been in and out of the deck quite a lot because the 13 play cost is a lot, but with the tamers that are with the list that security control uses, the tamers, you do get a lot more, and especially with the new memory boosts, you do get a lot more memory now, so it is a lot viable. But the main reason I play this is because I always draw my Zwart defeats. They are never in security, and I need to get them out. So having the Cranians on board just to digivolve off is very nice.
You and me
And
both.
it does definitely ruin. It pops the mats, it pops the ties. Um, it gets rid of opposing TKs or Izzy and Joes. It's very versatile, but yeah, having a Crania out is good against the mirror match, good against muskets, anything that wants to remove. It just says no to.
Nice.
And then the last level 6, which was I was struggling. I didn't understand it to begin with. At first, I looked at it and thought it's quite bad, but then when I added it in, it was just the MVP. If I could play more of it, I could. And that was the Sakuyamon. It ruined Agu, it ruined Gabu. They couldn't just sit in raising like a lot of the decks like to do. They had to play them out, and then you can just remove them from the board.
Underrated card. Really does it has been forgotten about because yellow is not really played at all. But everything plays from raising. They rush up and they just swing, swing, swing. And that's it. It's like Jesmon. They sit back and raise, and so you stall them out for a turn as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does stall them out, but with Jesmon, they have the Judgment Blaze that they can just run over it. It is there more for the rookie rookie Agus. But yeah, it is very good. The minus 3000 DP does come around every now and again. It can hurt you if you're trying to crash in your Salamons, because it can turn a Digimon security to 0 DP, so um you won't get the recovery. So it is hit and miss, but it is nice if it's on top of the Magna Angemon and you can just get an extra 1k DP all of most of the decks. It'll put itself up to essentially 15k with the minus 3, so it doesn't get hit by Agu Bonds, Gabu Bonds in security. It does still die to most Omnimons though.
Nice tech piece. That was probably the MVP when I saw your list. I was like, okay, yes, you've literally gone out your way to destroy bonds.
Yeah, it put in a lot of work, and it was nice.
So
Like, you
yeah,
wouldn't even need to play it straight away. You could just keep it in your hand as soon as you see them play their tamer, to play their tie, play their mat. You know they're wanting to raise out, and that's when you can play it.
so just remember, people, if you ever have issues with bonds, you're causing you problems, just see Ramo. He's clearly got a passion against them.
Yeah, I've tried playing the deck as you well know, and I just found it quite boring.
I get that. I get that. It's an acquired taste.
Yeah. So I run 4 Zwart defeats. As I say, I always draw these, so I never see them in security, so having something to digivolve off is really nice. And just leaving it on the board against Agu Bond is essentially a free pop. It's mandatory, so they have to pop this. So their Agu dies, and I run the 2 antibodies just to go on top of it.
Ever feel it was clunky at all?
They were clunky quite often. They were nice in the deck. I understand why they're there. There was a lot of times where I did need the card to come back, but a lot of the time I would have preferred other removal, other option. So if I had any changes, it would be the antibodies, but they weren't always dead. With security control, most of the time you play one thing and it passes turn. So it wasn't dead in my hand. I would have other options and I would just stall out until I could get to the defeat. I could digivolve on top and I could start clearing their board and coming back. But a lot of the time, yeah, I was waiting for the defeat to be hit in security just for that comeback. I will get on to the options. I run 4 of the Geralt. The board wipe mechanics that come with this is so needed in this current meta. A lot of decks just flood the board, and just having options to just clear potentially a board of level 5s is crazy. And I feel like this at 4, like, it could always work at 3, but there was a lot of times where I was hoping to draw into it, and maxing out at that was great. I run 3 Iron Fist Onslaught just for it was there to remove Agu and Gabu from security. It was there to remove Jesmons a lot of the time, because most of the time, if you've got something on board and you're trying to, if you had a defeat on board trying to crash into a Jesmon, they've always got a system on blocker. So the Iron Fist Onslaught came in clutch for those. Luckily, I only came up against one Jesmon, which I feel like, to me, it's the hardest matchup. Just because they have the options, they have the delicate plans They have the Blitz Omni that can protect itself. They've even got the Judgment Blade that they can just have their Jesmon run into your guys, so you can't even build up. You can't even wall up with Crania. It just gets blown up.
Yeah, I think we ran through that one in testing quite a lot, and because of how much time the security control gives Jesmon, it can literally cycle enough cards to get the Judgment Blade, get the Delicate Plan, set up a Greymon, Jesmon, and all security's going down pretty quickly, and then followed by an Omni.
Yeah, exactly. And with them being able to restand for free, because if they have the Savior Hookmon, they're always going to have a system on to bring out, so they will always be able to restand. So that being able to completely take out a full 5 stack on its own, even a full 6 stack on its own, it does damage it, because yeah, you are relying on security, and Delicate Plan does ruin it. But it's just a card. At the end of the day, it's just a card. I'm not angry. Got the 4 Holy Waves, classic recovery +1. It is essentially, if it's checked in security, it just nullifies an attack. Really good card. Playing it for 6 doesn't hurt either, because most of the time both players have a free cost memory tamer, so it'll just pass them, put them on there free, and it's really nice. Run the 4 reinforcing memory boosts. Being able to choose what you put into your security is busted, and I understand why there may be limiting this card. I hope they don't, but it needs to. But yeah, being able to just reveal the top 2 cards, add one to your hand, and put a removal, put a Zwart defeat, put a Cordramon just so you can draw more cards into your stack. Absolutely nuts. Last option is 4 Wyvern's Breath. It's there to get around the mirror match. It's there to get rid of the Crania. It's there to get rid of in Blitz Omnimon, because you can't just flat out remove it. It's there to hopefully get rid of Jesmon, but half the time it's always at 16, it's always at 17, it doesn't hit it, which is a bit bad. I would have loved to. So there are a lot of different ways you can play security control. Another way is running a red package. So you've got the Gaia Forces, you've got the Atomic Blasters, the Transcendent Swords, and you run the Guilmon Warp into the Gallantmon just as a different tech. But I feel like the yellow package is a lot better because you need recovery.
And to be honest, that kind of package is pretty dead, especially if you're going to face bonds, because the Guilmon's never live, because you have to have a level 6 or higher on board, don't you? So it's like you're never getting that warp off.
Yeah, by the time you've even gotten to that point, you're probably dead.
Agreed.
And then my tamers, I run 1 TK. It's just to get all your yellow Digimon out of there, because you don't want those in security, you want them in your hand because they are there for recovery. But a lot of times it has killed me. And flip a TK in security, have a look, and it'd be all Iron Fist Onslaught. So yeah, TK has killed me a lot more than it has saved me. And I run the 3 Izzy and Joes. A lot of decks now will flood the board, so this is always live. And rarely it does come up, but you can draw off a Cranium on dying. Does help you cycle through some cards if that happens. But yeah, you do it, it's there for the memory. Because a lot of the time they will flood the board just to try to rush you down. So it gives you all that memory. You can cast an option and you keep it on your turn. So you can cast 2 options, or you can cast an option, play out a recovery, or play out a Sakuya. Yeah, so that's the deck.
All right. Well, I mean, interesting list. Obviously very different to most Cure Control lists because obviously, like I said, you see a lot of them just run heavy amounts of removal options, Gaia Forces, type blasters, all this, that, the other. You know, a massive
Yeah,
variety of them.
yeah. This has only got 7 hard removal cards. It's more there to stall and recover.
Yeah, I guess the thing you have to play into is you're playing for the longevity. So, you know, you've bonds and that are going to do a fundamental thing, which is keep stripping away their security, whilst you're just adding to yours, so they can keep poking. If they survive, sure, but you're going to add something back in to replace that. Yes, is your game plan.
Yeah, exactly. And I've got all most of the Digimon that activate from security gets to play themselves out, and I can get free chip damage with them.
Nice, nice, nice. Well, what were your matchups for the day then? I guess this is the big part. How many bonds did you have to break down?
So I did play. So my first 2 rounds were against Agu Bond. Um, as I said, they were fairly out of the 2 Bond decks. Agu Bond is easier to play against, as it doesn't have as much draw. It doesn't have as much removal as the blue one, with the Gabu Bond being able to bottom deck, and it's not once per turn. So being able to bottom deck constantly and recurring through all of their deck, because they have a lot of good cards in blue anyway that just draw, and then they've got additional stuff. So yeah, out of the 2 decks, Agu Bond and Agu Control, Agu whatever, aggro, it is easier to handle. Um, So yeah, my first 2 rounds were against them. They were fairly easy. And then my third round was against a Gabu Bond. So yeah, round 3 was the first time the deck was tested, and it felt brilliantly. The Sakuya just being able to freeze their raising, they have to waste a Gabu Bond on something that's already out. So they're not getting. So they would digivolve into the BT6 Gabu in Raising, so they wouldn't get the additional restand. They'd have to do it on top of the draw 1 Gabu. Half of the time, not even got it out. They've got a Madoki Betamon,
Mm-hmm.
the memory stopper. So yeah, there's that one. My fourth round was my first and only loss. It was against Jasmine. As I say, it's a hard matchup for security control because they just have so many good cards to deal with security control. Yeah, just inherently being able to play a delicate plan normally in the deck, just because there's a lot of decks out there that run so much option removal, security control, agu control, and muskets. Just being able to play that helps them a lot, and it is a bad matchup for security control, or at least the one I've built. So yeah, I think I lost 2-1, so I did get one game off. But yeah, it was a deck I was hoping to avoid. But only being able to play against it once was very lucky on my side.
Dodged the bullets there a few times.
Yeah, very, very. Um, round 5 was against Black Yellow D Brigade, which I wasn't expecting to see, and it very nearly caught me off guard. I think it was basically a 1 card difference. If I needed the Gevolt Shawarma to win, and I had it in my hand. If I didn't, I lost on the next turn. So that was that. There was a lot of games that came down to 1, maybe 2 cards. One of them was against a Gabu Bond in round 7, I think. I was on I was on 8 Sakiri, and he had 2 Gabus on field, 1 in Brazen, and then 4 Tamers. So he brought that out, turned it into Gabu Bond, swung swung twice because he didn't have the restanding Gabu. Swung with all 4 attacks on the field, got all the 4 Lobos out, and I needed 1 heal, 1 removal in my security to take the win essentially. And they were all Digimon except for 1 Holy Wave.
Holy Wave coming in clutch.
Holy Wave coming in clutch. I didn't deserve the win, but I'd take it. We take those.
We have to take those. At the end of the day, a lot of this game comes down to RNG. That's why security control is a thing, because there's a fundamental. No matter what deck you play, you're either hoping for some form of option there, or a Digimon that's gonna be bigger than your opponent. Your opponent's ones. It's use the mechanic. That's what it's there for.
Yeah, exactly. Then round 6, 7, and 8 were all Gabu Bonds. I was expecting that high up. See a lot of Gabu Bond because that's what the deck to beat this format was. Even if none of them came top 4, that was the deck everyone was playing and everyone was building to beat. Because it was it's not easy to play, but it's easy to pick up and play, but it's very hard to be able to play it itself.
I mean, I'll agree with you there, but I'll change the statement to Gabi Bond is easy to play. I'll say it, and there's nothing wrong with it. It depends on the style you play. You can play the Rookie Rush variant, you can play the Ancient Guru variant. Ancient Guru's got a higher ceiling overall, I'd say, but more chances to brick. Whereas the Rush variant is more linear, more direct to the point. But I guess the same token comes into everything. Everything's got a weakness, and with Rush variants, it's blockers. So everything has to play around to it. But it is they've got a very direct approach to do it. Swing lots of times and pray for the best. Because that is this format. Well, BT6 format was realistically your game plan was always swing. Wherever you can, just swing. Don't even think about it. Just keep swinging, because that's how you're gonna win.
Yeah, one missed attack, and that's how you lose the game.
Yep, and I think that happened to one of our newest members in the regionals, didn't he? He could have won the game, but I think he didn't swing with one of his things.
Yeah, I think he was playing Jesmon in a mirror match. He had a Hookmon on board and forgot to attack with it, passed the turn, and it all came down to the 1 security.
Yeah, it will literally in this one. Just don't take the opportunity. Don't fear the security too much, unless you've got a way around to a better play to go around it. Otherwise, take your chances. Just go swinging, especially against security control matchups, because as Ramo said, I mean, he's had security just filled with Digimon and no removal options.
Exactly.
RNG's a killer.
Yeah, and a lot of the time when you play the memory boost, your opponent gets to see what you stack as well, so they can play around it. A lot of the times I put in a Wyvern's Breath and they're like, okay, I'll swing with this level 3 and with nothing else on the board. And that's just a hard removal, just wasted.
Exactly. So that was we matchups. It was basically the only, apart from the bonds, it was the D Brigade and a Jesmon. But otherwise, you had back-to-back bonds all day long. So you was in your element.
Yeah, exactly. I was against a deck I was hoping to play against, the deck I built around, and I feel like I had a really lucky day. After every win, I was like, okay, the next one's gonna be the downfall. Next one's gonna be the downfall. I got to Jesmon. I'm like, yep, this is it. And by the end of it, I just couldn't believe it. It's still quite surreal to me that I was able to get that far in the regional.
And it looks like you deserved it. At the end of the day, you had a goal in mind. You knew what kind of things to expect. Obviously, we all have to take into consideration our matchups are going to be somewhat potluck. It's like for instance, myself back in, God, I feel old. Set 1.0. Back in pre-release times. November, because we all got all the things in November pre-release and that. And when the first tournament I attended was a PPG one, I think I took black with it, black blockers. Black blockers wasn't that good. It was slow. It was clunky. It couldn't do a lot. It just blocked. But when you get paired up with Rookie Rush on repeat, it's like, yeah, this is a great time. We should do this again. So, you just gotta be thankful for the matches at the end of the day. But
Exactly. Could have just easily have played against 8 Jesmons.
and I'm sure you would have loved every minute of it.
I'm sure I would have dropped after round 2.
But I'm glad you didn't, because you obviously took it all the way. You did the team proud, did yourself proud, because this is your biggest tops this far within
I
the
think
Digimon gamers.
I think this is my biggest top in most TCGs, except for one in Final Fantasy. It was a smaller regional, like maybe like 12, 13. It was like a local regional that people traveled to rather than online. I did get second in that, but out of, what was it, 175 people at this regional, I came fourth. I'm very happy with that, and hopefully it can only improve.
And I'm sure you will. I mean, from the team itself, we're always going to be able to support you in anything you do. Obviously, a lot of us now got to think a few things to prove. We can't have you just hogging the limelight up there. I mean, I guess
Free for coaching.
he's not free. He charges. He's on a Patreon. Don't let it listen to him. But I mean, is there any, obviously besides the antibody, anything else you would change in the deck, or any tips or advice you give to people who wanted to take it up?
Uh, it definitely comes down to the meta. I think now going into EX01, there are some changes I want to try. I do want to try maxing out the Geogreys and the Cordramons if possible. So I think during one of my first lists when PT6 came out, it was a security control with Bellstar rather than all the recovery stuff, and it ran 4 of each with the tactical retreat, so you could just constantly replay Geogrey, put it in the stack. They'd have to constantly try to deal with that one Digimon.
Okay, nice. I'm interested to see that one take off. I mean, I will put a challenge at the end of this one. All right, because we're at the point now we're in EX01 for us over in the Europe settings. So your thing relies heavy on deletion and that.
Yes.
I'm gonna challenge you. I'm gonna record this. I'm gonna challenge you with Machine Jamon. How do you think you'll fare?
With this deck in particular, probably badly because the Sakuyamons will do nothing. With, I'd say not with tech tweaks, with what I would build the deck to deal with X01, it would be able to hold up to it, but because it has the self-protection, it would come down to, I think it would come down to putting in the Bellstar package, maybe Millennium Mon, but it's something to think about. I think the security control going into XL1 loses a lot of power.
I mean, I'm hoping that's not the case because I want to see more tops from you here. So I'm going to leave it up to the people watching this video here. So if you do want to see Ramo tweak the deck, so not the list as it is, if he use his knowledge, tweak the deck, ready for EX01, I will have a match up my Machine Dramon versus security control, whatever concoction he comes up with, whether it's muskets and security control, however we want to go about it, and we'll see who best to. Let's put you to the test, Ramo. I'm gonna challenge the top dog now.
That's fine. I'll happily take it and try my best.
And obviously, off the back of all this, I mean, the list is solid. You did some good groundwork, and just to point out, I know that you did this all the night before. You jammy little sod. Literally.
Yeah, up until the night before, I was planning on taking muskets, but after quite a few playtesting with Toma, who plays Jesmon himself, security control had a better matchup against Jesmon than muskets did.
Yeah, because they fall off two different characteristics, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, with security control, you play for a long game, and you don't really have many things on board. But with muskets, you actually don't play into a long game. You just have lots of little things to poke at and you heavy removal, so you don't
Yeah,
actually extend your game plan.
yeah, exactly. That's why I'm I'm going to try to fit in some ultimate flares, because ultimate flares can deal with the Jesmon. It's extra removal and it does well against the machine Dramons.
Taking to beat me. Okay, okay, I'm feeling this. All right, the challenges out there are smashed it. The regionals, top four. Obviously, us boys at Legion, proud of you. We want to see more of this, and obviously, next chance we get, we'll do a bit of testing. We can actually see the actual security control deck in action as is.
Yeah,
And then we'll do, if you want to see us try and do the new challenge, the Machine Dramon taking on the security control with its new additions, leave a comment below and basically let us know what you want to see from us. Because Ramo here has smashed it, top four, regionals, and also your postal service was amazing for your regional finals. I waited 2 months of mine, you got yours in a week.
I know. As I said, the better you finish, the quicker the stuff comes out.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, then you might have to just keep doing what you're doing because I hated waiting for that postal service.
Yeah, I might have to.
But thank you for joining on Oscar Gordo's games here today, Ramo. And once again, well done. Keep it up, and I expect to see your name up there a lot more often.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.
No worries, no worries. And for myself here at Gordo's Games, let's get digital, let's get going. Peace out.